Do you trust in your boyfriend or girlfriend, in your community, in real estate developers, in your government, or in your own abilities to make an engaging and somewhat entertaining YouTube video about a high-rise building on Økern in Oslo? Hello and welcome to High Rises Explained. Trust, or tillit as we say in Norwegian, is important in all interaction, big and small, between you and anyone else. When there is a high level of trust in a society, things run a lot smoother than when the level of trust is low. You can in fact say that trust is a lubricant between the cogwheels of society. Yeah. Well, that's what I associate with the word. The artwork does not have a question mark or an explanation point, so maybe you think about something completely different. Feel free to let me know in the comments. Økernsenteret was completed in June of 1969 and served as both a local commercial hub for much of the population in the densely populated northern slopes of Gudbrandsdalen, as well as a center for public services in the area. In addition to what you usually would find in a mall from this period, like hairdressers for both men and women, a restaurant, a grocery store, bank branches, travel agencies and a post office, the local police station, Vinmonopolet, the wine monopoly, the borough administration and other social services were all located here. And with the center built directly on top of the metro, with direct access to the station, as well as being located where several major roads meet, the center was well connected. Well, kind of, as this part of town was dominated by industry, in particular the Standard Telefon- og Kabelfabrik, just up the road. But that's for another video. My point is that this means Økernsenteret was surrounded by large roads, rail lines and industry. And why this proved to be a problem, I'll come back to in a little bit. When Økernsenteret was completed, it became the second tallest building in Oslo. Measuring the height is a little tricky in this case. The tower itself, from the parking deck where the main entrance is located to the architectural top, is 60.1 meters. But from the parking deck to the lowest elevation where it meets the terrain, it's another 7.65 meters, making the total height 67.7 meters. Several other sources operate with a height of 66 meters, but I don't know where they got that number from. Probably the city planning department. Yeah. If this is a topic that interests you just 10% as much as it does me, I would recommend this video. And to satisfy the Chicagoans, Chicago people, the height of the floor plate on the top floor is 52.05 meters. If you watch the linked video, you get the reference. Regardless, the tower has 18 floors above ground, most of them with a floor plate around 824 square meters in size, nearly 15,000 in total. As for the total complex, which includes the high-rise, shopping center, underground parking and storage, the building is around 41,600 square meters in size. When opening, the core tenants were Statens Lånekasse, the Norwegian State Educational Loan Fund, that rented floor 14 through 17, with their own canteen on the 13th floor, operated by Statens Kantine. Originally known as Forsvarets Kantine, the Armed Forces Canteens, renowned for their Waffle Fridays. Another main tenant was the Norske Veritas, DNV, a shipping register and classification society, well known among boat spotters all over the world, that rented floor 5 through 10. The second floor of the podium building was occupied by a government college, specialized in the education of public servants, or bureaucrats if you will, the Statens Kommunal- og Sosialskole. On the top floor, the property management had their offices, as well as the architects that designed the building, Per Nordseng and Håkon Mjelva. Nordseng and Mjelva is also credited with a master plan for the Ammerud district further east in Oslo, which we will return to in a later video. The building is designed in international style, a subgenre of modernism characterized by the horizontal window bands around the building. And this is basically the exact same thing as said in this video about Hotel Royal in Copenhagen. The building utilizes a curtain wall facade system, where the exterior wall is sort of hung from the floor plates. The facade plates is mounted on a wooden frame and was made with asbestolux, a material made up of 16 to 35% asbestos, and quite commonly used at the time of construction. Most of the structural weight is carried by the concrete core, where the elevators, toilets, stairwells, as well as plumbing and cabling is located. This gives a high degree of flexibility when furnishing a floor for most office uses. As mentioned, Økernsenteret is located in the crossroads, where the orbital Ring 3 intersects with Østre Vei, a main connector road to the east. In 2009, construction work started on a major project to remove much of the through traffic from the surface roads into a tunnel, making room for new development as well as reducing both noise and air pollution. The problem for Økernsenteret was that all this construction activity that lasted until 2013 made access difficult, to the extent that by 2015 both the shopping center and the high-rise stood vacant. A contributing cause was the old facade, as well as the electrical system was in dire need of renovation. Another problem facing the high-rise is that the floor plate to floor plate height is just 2.9 meters. This might sound like quite a lot, but this height must provide room for sufficiently large ventilation shafts, for John McClane to crawl around in, as well as light fixtures and maybe a raised floor system. In more recent office buildings, the usual floor plate to floor plate height is around 3.3 meters, so in that sense, Økernsenteret is 7.2 meters too short to function properly for its intended use. The owners, Sten & Stihem, a retail and real estate company, and Storebrand, an insurance company, who bought the property in 2006, had major plans for the area. These plans included the demolition of the current buildings and the construction of 65,000 square meters of new retail space, a water park, a cinema, some 200 new residential units and a new 15-floor high-rise, of roughly the same height. This plan was eventually approved in 2017. But as you can see, these plans never came to fruition, and the high-rise is still standing. Because the focus have changed yet again, Økern is smack in the middle of Hovedbyen, a massive urban development project aimed at binding the inner city together with the eastern suburbs over the span of some 50 years. I'll return to Hovedbyen in a later video. This calls for a less suburban approach, so the newest plans unveiled in 2020 included a lot more housing, public squares, office buildings, a hotel and retail on street level. And the high-rise is no longer to be demolished, but converted into residential units, after a thorough asbestos removal and renovation, I assume. At the making of this video, in early 2024, the Økernsenteret stands empty and serves only as Norway's largest temporary art installation. The shopping mall is abandoned, but for the occasional art exhibition, theatre stage for a musical version of the Norwegian 1980s cult classic Døden på Oslo S during 2023, and for a rave party now and again. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video entertaining or educational, not slightly annoying, or at least a worthwhile waste of time, please consider subscribing and or giving the video a thumbs up. And follow me on Instagram at @HighRiseExplained for some additional content. If you are a professional in the construction industry, have access to a high-rise or a great view to one, or if you think you can contribute to this project in any way, feel free to contact me. Again, thank you so much for watching, and you'll see me again in a later video.